Fellow basketball lovers, what is up? We are back for another episode of the Corner 3 podcast. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Everything NBA playoffs we are touching on this episode, but make sure you also subscribe to the Basketball Intelligence newsletter. They are sponsoring this episode.
Yeah, come on, Tom.
In NBA playoff history, the Los Angeles Lakers becomes the first team to ever play an entire half with the same five players. JJ Redick made no substitutions. Showtime. Fellas, how are y'all doing on another episode, another installment of the Corner 3 podcast?
I'm good. I had to come out of hiding to record record the podcast. They said we had an episode on schedule, so I had to come out of hiding to show my face after my precious Lakers went down 3-1. But you know, anytime the Corner 3 links, it's a good day. So I'm here. I'm locked in.
Jarrett, I know you're feeling good. Your Knicks is up 3-1. So it's great times over there. On this episode, we will talk about all of the matchups that are going on currently. Knicks series, Lakers series. We, of course, are going to talk about the Thunder and the Cavs sweeping their teams. Which was more dominant? We're going to talk about it all regarding the playoffs. Starting off, though, Adam Silver hopped on the Numbers on the Board pod and had an interesting conversation that I want to share. That will be the first topic of this new episode.
You know, it's interesting. Your companies enjoy basketball, and I respect the job the media does. And it's not a suggestion that people shouldn't ask tough questions or be critical or talk about things they don't like about the game. But I would say, and it goes exactly to your production company, Enjoy Basketball, that sometimes I think they don't spend enough time talking about why people love this game.
So I think it's safe to say the conversation where we're going to start off regarding the playoffs, Rush, Jarrett, and we'll start off with Rush. We're going to talk about the three things so far in the playoffs, whether it's the players, whether it's games that we saw, that we love the most. Adam Silver made a great point, and that's been one of the things that we've been focusing on once we started this podcast, was to focus more on the positivity, the things that we love about the game over the negative. Not negating, like he said, you could talk about this player went 4 for 17, but not of enough focus has been on what is loved about the game. So Rush, share with us three things you've loved so far about these playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, shout out to Numbers on the Board. Like, they got the commish on the show. Like, them boys have been, hey, that's a come up story for the ages. Shout out to them. Much love and all success. I think for me, I definitely align with Adam Silver on this. I mean, it's no secret. I think I've expressed as much on the timeline with threads throughout the season that there's a lot of great stuff going on with the league, and people, basketball fans, professional basketball fans in particular, tend to only focus on the negative. So I'm glad the commissioner actually came out and said it. People are probably going to say, of course, he's going to say that he's commissioner of the league, but I tend to agree with him. And if you look at the ratings, the reports that have come out about the ratings toward the end of the season, and you just look at how great the playoffs have been the first round, I think there's plenty of good stuff to talk about. So for me, it's just the parity of it all. Other than OKC and Memphis and a couple of the Eastern series, but even like Detroit and New York, I mean, all those games have been close and competitive. So I think just the competitiveness, the excitement, Detroit's back in the playoffs. They won a game. They're, I wouldn't say pushing the Knicks to the limit, but, you know, it's no cakewalk for New York either. You look out west, Denver and the Clippers has been fantastic. LA and Minnesota, even though the Lakers are down 3-1, I mean, outside of game one and game two, for the most part, a lot of those games have been competitive, and the crowd has been incredible in Minneapolis for the last 2 games. So just the first round being exciting, right? Like sometimes the first round can be sort of a gift and a curse because you get basketball every single night. So junkies can, sort of wild out, but a lot of times it's the most uncompetitive stage of the playoffs because you got a lot of lopsided series. But I think for the most part, a lot of these series have been captivating. I hate that I haven't been able to stay awake for all of them, but the ones I've been able to see have been great. So just the parody of it all and the competitiveness. I think I have loved, although it hurts me, I have loved watching Anthony Edwards perform in the playoffs. Like I am a basketball fan first and foremost, a Lakers fan second. So even though I want the Lakers to win and I'm excited that we got Luka and Bron, like you'd be a fool to not appreciate what Anthony Edwards has been doing in the playoffs as a 7th seed, even though a lot of these teams are only separated by a game and a half. So, I mean, first 11 points in the 4th quarter the other night for Minnesota. I mean, he just locked in. He was like, all right, I'm going to bring this thing home. And he set the tone in the 4th quarter. So Anthony Edwards would be the second thing that I'm really enjoying about these playoffs. And number 3 is Golden State Warriors. I don't know if we wanted to do teams or just overall general things, but these are just the things that I'm enjoying. Like the Warriors have looked really good. Steph looks like he's looked when they've made their runs to win championships. And Jimmy Butler, I don't know if it's the coffee. I don't know what it is, but he's got that team looking completely different. So granted, they're going up against a team that's, really tasting the playoffs for the first time. And you can definitely see the inexperience of Houston rearing its ugly head at the worst possible moments. But I don't want to take anything away from Golden State either. Like those boys are playing. Steph is balling. I think before last night, he had like 87 points in the series, which is, by far more than anybody else. So, yeah, the Warriors and then just it's the playoffs. Like this is the best time of the year. It sucks that it means the season's also ending, but I just love the playoffs and it's been pretty competitive overall so far.
All right, before Jarrett shares his things, I'm gonna throw out a stat regarding what you just said with Steph. Stephen Curry has scored nearly 30% of the Warriors' total points. No other Warriors player is above 10%. Jimmy Butler is second with 9.5%. To speak on the series that Steph is having and how he's carrying that Warriors team. Jarrett, the ball is in your court. I'm sure you're going to mention Karl Anthony Towns, big bodega in the building, but I'll let you break it down. Your favorite things that you've loved so far this playoffs.
Yeah, so the first thing I want to talk about, the physicality this playoffs and the refs actually letting them play. That's really been enjoyable to watch. Like you see, like each and every single game is just a bloodbath, and I think that's what fans want. We don't want a heavily referee game. We want players to actually show the emotion, be physical with each other, and try to go for their heads because that's why they say ratings are down. It's too much fouling, it's too much foul bait, blah blah blah. The whole narrative thing. I like the way how Anthony Edwards was going at it with LeBron with that physicality. And I'm like, oh, LeBron looking kind of old now. So I'm like, oh, hold on. Like, Anthony Edwards looking young and spry against him. But of course, it's the Knicks, their physicality, that ended the game call was very controversial. But they let them play the whole game with the physicality. Cat, he's been super impressive to me. He's really starting to take that next step as a playoff performer. Brunson, I seen a stat earlier today about Brunson. He's the first player to start the playoffs with 4 consecutive 30-point games since Michael Jordan. Super impressive stuff by him. And the third thing that I really like is how Franz Wagner is really starting to take that leap after a subpar playoff performance last year. And even though Paulo and Franz are playing good, they're down 3-1. They won the last game. But last year, Paulo was the only one who really kind of carried them, and Franz didn't show up. So seeing Franz take that leap as a player performer now, I feel like it's a really good step for him, even though the result is not where they want it to be. And I feel like they're just missing a couple pieces. They Suggs and Wagner's out, but I feel like they need like another scorer to help them out. So if going forward, I feel like the Magic have nice building blocks to go on, despite them probably going to lose tonight.
Great points right there. The Knicks, man, Cat and Jalen Brunson showing up big at the end of the game. Jalen Brunson getting some help. I don't know. We'll talk about it later on in an episode if we think they could actually make the Celtics sweat, but it's looking good so far. This first round, they're about to play in about 10 minutes or so. It's scheduled for 7:30, but tip off not till then. This shows also, for those that end up watching this, this shows the commitment that we have from the squad. Jarrett is a Knicks fan and is on the pod, and me and Rush are basketball fanatic fiends, and we're missing some of that game. So obviously we'll probably have it on in the background, and you might see reactions that happen throughout the episode. That's why. Looking at some of the series that are actually done, the Cavs and OKC handled their business. Get the brooms out. We not playing. We not wasting no time. Not taking no chances. They sweep their first round opponents. We will discuss a little bit about the opponents that they beat, but the more actual important part is the two teams that won. Cavs and Thunder. Which first round performance was most impressive between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the OKC Thunder?
I think, I don't know, man. The Cavs closed out in very convincing fashion, to put it mildly. And, we saw what the Thunder did early on in this series to the Grizzlies, and then even came back from down with 27, 28, 29 points in game 3, I believe it was. So I don't know. I'm gonna hedge a little bit and just say, they were both really, really impressive. I think one of the toughest things to do is close the team out, and it normally doesn't really matter what stage of the playoffs you're in. It's just a really hard thing to do, especially when you're up. You got a couple of games worth of a cushion. So I just like how they handled business, and they didn't play with their food, and now they're resting while the rest of these teams sort of beat up on each other, and then they sort of wait to see who they're going to get to play. So, they played as you would expect a number one seed to play. And I was blown away that I didn't really see any letdown, any sort of coasting for either team. And I think they've got their sights set on the ultimate prize, which is the finals and the championship. So I was really impressed with how both teams performed.
Hey, Jarrett, I want to ask this, right? With them both being swept, do you feel it was worth it for a team like Miami to even, they was a part of the play-in, for them to get to that spot for to be swept anyway? And was it even worth it with OKC sweeping their squad with Memphis? Should it have just been a situation where they was like, hey, let's get into the offseason and figure it out after that? What's your thoughts on those two teams? Hey, they make the playoffs, but y'all got swept.
So I've been going back and forth with this for the last few days with that whole situation, and guess that kind of convinced me. I think they either need to make the first round less games or just get rid of the play-in. Only based on the fact is like, all right, Miami was the 10th seed. They made the playoffs, but we see what happened last night. They lost by 55 points. And even though Memphis, like I give Memphis a little bit of a pass because Ja Morant was out the last 2 games. So I give them a little bit of a pass, even though they lost and they got swept. And they battled injuries for most of the whole season, and losing their head coach right before the playoff season starts. So I give them some leeway. But the way Miami went out, you kind of got to consider like, okay, like either we got to make this shorter or we just got to scrap the whole playing thing. Because honestly, I think who's the HC before Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so I think Atlanta probably would have got swept as well, but Atlanta might have would have gave them more of a push. Like Trae Young is a big playoff performer, so I do feel like if it was just Atlanta versus Miami, we would have had a better show. So I mean, I don't know, man. Miami looked super impressive to me, more than OKC, based on the fact that they had Garland the last two games and beat them by 55 points, which was insane. Like I think the opening quarter, it was like 30-8 at one point. And I was like, yeah, nah, this ain't it. This
It
ain't
was
it.
wild too because Garland was talking his trash and he even played the last two games. I don't even got to see you,
Mhm.
Tyler. Like, I'm going to talk crazy. We chose to come at you on defense, and I'm not even going to play the last two games, and they win by 55. On the Memphis side, there's a lot of rumors going around that was going before the playoffs even started. Once the coach got fired, Taylor Jenkins. Do you think Memphis looks to move Ja this summer? And if you do, where would be a good fit? Where do you think Ja ends up at if he's not in Memphis?
So if you remember, I think we talked about it one of our first episodes. I think it was Howard Beck reported that he had heard some scouts or executives saying, hey, depending on what happens with Memphis in the postseason, like look out, there could be some noise about Ja Morant getting moved. And then the GM came out and it was like, oh, people fantasize about being able to have Ja Morant and blah, 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 blah. But then look at what happened since then, right? Like they continue to fall in the standings. They fire their coach, 2.5 weeks, whatever, before the playoffs. They end up in the play-in. They get bounced. Ja gets hurt again. Ja is getting fined and then making up celebrations, taunting the league, like daring them to fine him again. And I think a lot of people are looking at him who just 18, 24 months ago as a potential next face of the league, or looking at him now like, hey, bro, this league moves quick, right? Like guys take leaps, new players come in, nothing is guaranteed for the majority of the league. And, he was once seen as a top talent in the league. And, I think a few people have passed him. So once Luka and AD get traded, anybody's expendable. So I think Memphis is in a really interesting place where they got to find a coach, and I think they will really have to assess like what is our ceiling with Ja Morant. Like the last time we had the 2 seed, we got beat in the first round by the Lakers. So I don't know. They play relatively well without him. They got Bane, they got JJJ. They got Edie, who a lot of people hate on for some reason. I don't know if it's just like, do we just hate really tall people? Like I know people hate Gobert. I mean, there's legit reasons to hate Gobert, but he also happens to be tall. Edie is, he's a rookie, but I hear people saying like, oh, he's trash. He's not going to be. I'm like, yo, bro, it's literally in his first year. Like, give him a chance. I'm sorry. That's an aside. But anyways, so I think they've got enough talent where if you think you want to move Ja Morant, I mean, you could probably not really see any drop off. I don't know that you could be any worse than getting blown out in the play-in. So that being said, I don't think they will trade him. I think they'll get a new coach in. They'll maybe try to get him to maybe change his regimen or whatever he does in the offseason, maybe, work on his body a little bit, adjust his play style. But I think if they're struggling going into like next season after the first month or so, I think some trade chatter will pick up like around the deadline. I don't think he's got like unlimited runway. So I think things are an interesting point, but I don't think that they pull the trigger just yet on a trade, unless it's like a deal they can't refuse.
Looking ahead to the next series that we'll be touching on, we'll start with the Knicks. So the Knicks are up 3-1. Big win last game. Some would say controversial ending. I look back at it myself personally. I don't think it was a foul. Hardaway tried to create the content. It wasn't contact. It wasn't it wasn't his regular shot. Stuck the arm out. And if you really pay attention before that, it got to Hardaway because somebody fouled Josh Hart when they was trying to tussle to get the rebound. Physical game the entire game. Knicks come out with the win. That one possession did not change the game. The Pistons had plenty of opportunities before that. Looking at that series, right? I think it's safe to say we're going to choose them to win the series. Is there any confidence that they can possibly beat the Celtics next round?
I'm sorry, Jarrett, forgive me. You know I love you. But can we potentially have our first like real beef on the Corner 3 podcast? Because I want to ask a question, Tone. If that's Jalen Brunson shooting the ball instead of Tim Hardaway Jr., does the foul get called?
With how the game was being called? I don't think so.
No. Just answer the question. If it's Jalen Brunson shooting the ball, does the foul get called?
No.
Tone.
The way Hardaway shot it, he chicken wing that out.
Didn't the league come out and say it was a foul? They missed it. Like, I don't even think they waited for the last 2-minute report. Didn't in the referee's pool?
They came out immediately.
It came out immediately. Yeah.
They said, "Yeah, we missed it." Like, I don't know, man. And and this all doesn't really matter, right? Because I don't really believe games are lost in like the final plays or whatever. Like, there's so many opportunities in terms of whatever that lead to the end of the game. But and Tony, I'm just messing with you. Like, people on the internet like really trying to say like, oh, it wasn't a foul, and trying to say, oh, well, Tobias Harris fouled somebody before. I'm like, look at the play itself. Yes, it was a foul. Like, it's inexcusable that it wasn't called, but it wasn't called. And I'm sure Detroit had plenty of opportunities to win before that. But I'm sorry. I just wanted to mess with you. But
hey, I definitely saw it. They announced it, but I was listening to J.A. Adonde breaking it down. And I went back and watched the film like he did. And he broke it down. He said, if you look closely from the Hawk cam and that view, Hardaway.
Where did that angle come from?
Thank you. Because
like, that was like LeBron.
I wanted Bron to get away with that foul, but I couldn't. I'm too decent of a person. Once I saw the angle, I was like, damn, he fouled him. But I didn't want to have to, like, that angle had to keep me honest. I don't know. It's nice.
I don't know when it started, and I was tight to see it. I was with you, Rush. I'm watching it. I'm like, all right, you can't really tell that's a foul. Then they
you couldn't tell
the
the other
game.
angles.
I said, "Here's the game."
Damn, we got him.
Shut up, bro. I was with Jarrett. Where the heck did this come from? It seemed like it just happened to pop up for this.
Hey, and Bron will try to be like, "Yo, wrist is part of the ball." It's like, no, Bron, his hand's part of the ball. The wrist is a little bit too much, bro. Like, if you get a wrist, that's a foul. If you get some of that hand, that's a different topic. But nah, wrist is foul, bro.
Facts, but it's the same thing like we said with the Knicks Pistons series, bruh. That wasn't the deciding factor of that game, and we will talk about that Lakers Timberwolves series for sure. Trust and believe. But Jarrett, how are you feeling about your Knicks, man? Y'all up 3-1. More than likely, y'all win that series, but y'all see Boston next. Are you having any confidence from what you've seen? You big bodegas in the building, OG Ballin, Mikal Bridges. How are you feeling about your Knicks looking ahead to that next round?
I mean, it's Boston. I'm rightfully so. I am nervous about playing against Boston. I do like our chances more if Holiday sits out for that series as well. But they're looking good right now. I mean, I think the Knicks do have a strong possibility of beating the Celtics if everything goes right. Barring everybody stay healthy. I feel like the way Cat is playing right now, I feel like he really can take the Celtics by himself. Because, like, I mean, Al Horford's a great defender, but I don't know. I think Cat can get the best of him that series. And, Porzingis is not the greatest defender, so I think he's going to kind of float around and gotta kind of figure out how to guard him, actually, to be honest with you. I mean, we could probably put Mitchell Robinson on him, but I do like our chances. I'm actually watching the start of the game right now, but, I mean, they're looking good, man. I'm impressed. I'm not gonna lie. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I think Cat is changing narratives about him.
Yeah,
To be honest,
yeah.
this postseason.
He shut me up.
What have we heard? Like, oh, he's soft. He can't play in big moments and blah blah blah. But he's looked every bit of all NBA, whatever team you want to put him on. He's looked every bit of it in this series. I think Boston's going to be a real big test. I think I would agree on. But so far, just rating him, he's been fantastic from what I've seen.
On
I
the
think
Pistons side,
go
ahead.
I think what's the name? I think like something about him playing in New York because he's from Jersey. I think that just is in unlock something with him. Like I feel like it just he's back home. They don't got the New Jersey Nets no more, so we have to rely on the Knicks.
Jersey.
So we have to rely on the Knicks for to rep Jersey as well. So and then I was reading something the other day saying that Cat always wanted to play for the Knicks.
Yeah, when he was a kid growing up, he wanted to
Mhm.
play for the Knicks, and I believe he went to a Knicks game. It's a whole background story with Cat and the Knicks. So this was fate. I'm from Jersey. I don't care for the Knicks personally, but I love Cat being from Jersey. Jersey ballers is different. It's Jersey ballers is different. We really are built different. I know where Jarrett at and Rush at, Carolinas and the DMV area, but I'm taking Jersey. Give me Jersey every single day of the week. Me personally. On the Pistons side, though, what's your thoughts on how the season has gone? They make it to the playoffs, probably gonna lose a series. Do you feel that this season is a success or a failure with them losing in 5 possibly?
Go ahead, Rush. This is your playoff prediction pick, so
Yeah, I think it's definitely a success, and I think you look at this series, you sort of zoom out. They could very well be Detroit up 3-1, right? Like they've played well enough to win more than one game in this series. I'd say, well, they've played like 85% well enough to be up to have won more games in this series, but it's the last 15% where I think experience sort of kicks in, and they've sort of lost some games down the stretch. But no, I think they sort of found their blueprint in terms of what they have in Cade Cunningham, which we all expected is just absolute stud, all NBA caliber player, and the kind of players that they need to sort of put around him for this team to be successful. And I think they've got, you've got snipers, well, streaky snipers, I guess, if that's an actual thing, streaky snipers in Beasley and Hardaway Jr. You've got rim runners, lob threats in Duran. You've got Beef Stew. You've got Enforcer, and then you've got some wings who can straight clamp you in Holland and Thompson. So I'm excited to see what they do next year. And I think Schroeder, who's been on like 4 or 5 teams this year, has been a really, really good get for them in the backup point guard position. Because you saw the kind of impact he had with LA down the stretch last year. So I think it's absolutely a success. There's no moral victories in the playoffs, but I think regardless of what happens tonight or even going forward, if the series is extended, I think they've got a lot of things to be excited about in the immediate future, and then even beyond in Detroit.
Yeah, they got Ivy coming back next year as well, too. That's a huge piece. And if he was healthy, that's a game changer in this series. With Ivy healthy, though, I don't know if they add on Shooter to that team. So if somehow they can figure out you bring back Shooter, Ivy comes back healthy, that's a very good team to look forward to. This will be a learning lesson for them. I don't know if you want to bring back Beasley, because we, as Lakers fans, have seen this. Playoff time started. We don't see as much of the shimmy shake. We don't see all of that happening. He not shooting at the high clip that he was shooting in the regular season. You see Tim Hardaway Jr. His pops was all mad of how everything happened with the Mavs, but we seeing, hey, Pops, hold your son accountable. He's shrieky. This is why he went to this team and that team, and J Kidd said, I can't play you, my boy. This is why. This is exactly why. So definitely looking forward to what happens with them going into next season.
he just got a good stop on Jalen Brunson though. It was just crazy.
Up and down. He'll have that big stop.
Mhm.
We'll check back out on Threads in about 10 minutes, see what he's doing in that third quarter. Now, Another game that's going on currently, Bucks and Pacers is tied up right now, 61-61. It's a team where you can see the Bucks might win this game and extend the series. Giannis still has the ability to go absolutely nuclear and somehow pull this series out. Not saying that's going to happen. I think Pacers end up winning the series though, right? For the Bucks, Damian Lillard, torn Achilles. Giannis, all the rumors of him being traded. That's an expensive injury. I say that because Achilles, he's out all next year. He might show up if they make a finals run, which we all don't think is going to happen. So he's out all next year. $54 million on the books next season. Giannis, this is another series, possibly another playoff year where I'm out in the first round. I haven't tasted much playoff success since that finals win. Do we see? We asked about Ja. Do we see Giannis being the newest superstar to try to request a trade? And if so, where does he end up? And we've seen Carlos Boozer say the Lakers. I highly doubt that's going to happen. And I hope they do not do that. But where do y'all think he possibly ends up if he does request that trade?
I hope it's tough for me because I can understand because everything we've seen from Giannis to this point has been 100% like loyalty to the Bucks, right? And the Bucks have sort of reciprocated that, right? Like he's like, hey, I want y'all to make some moves. They went out and got Dame. The team still wasn't playing well with Dame. They moved Middleton and got some young pieces in there. Kuzma, who may not be an immediate upgrade, but can do some things that Middleton wasn't able to do. And the truth is, it just hasn't worked for whatever reason. Call it coaching, call it chemistry. It just hasn't worked to this point. Now maybe they can turn it around against Indy. Likely not. So everything we've seen from Giannis would suggest that he is going to try to ride it out and see if the organization can make some more moves to try to get this team back to where they were a few years ago. You see, they just extended the GM or VP or basketball operations or whatever, Horst, right? I believe. So, obviously he's not going anywhere. So my gut tells me that he's gonna ride it out and see what they can do this summer. Obviously, with Dame being out, like you said, he's out for a year minimum. I don't know what could happen in between now and then that could drastically change this team's trajectory. But crazier things have happened. But I don't know. I don't think that he would ask for a trade. But if he did, I don't even know where you begin to look, because you would think it would take a haul to get Giannis, right? Like 20, 28, 29. He's like the only guy to drop 30, 10 and like whatever for consecutive seasons at a certain shooting percent. Like Giannis is just amazing. So I don't know, but that just as a Luka and AD trade was sort of a landscape changing type trade, I think any potential Giannis trade would be the same. But I don't think he asks out, and I don't think they move him. But if you did, I honestly have no idea where you even start to think about where he would go. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Jarrett has some ideas.
Okay. I don't know how it can happen, but my hot take is that Giannis should go to Atlanta. Pair up with Trae Young. But also my second hot take to that is maybe they should think about playing Giannis at center instead of forward. Create the mismatch. You got a pick and roll with Giannis and Trae Young. How deadly would that be? Because Trae Young making a Kongu and Clint Capella look good. And, they're not bad players, but imagine having Giannis as that role guy. And I thought that was what the Bucks was going to do with Dame and Giannis. But it just didn't seem to work out. Like they run a lot of ISO ball with Giannis, which I mean, rightfully so. Giannis is a good ISO player, post up, but I feel like that's like the one thing they could really utilize is him being the role man. So him and Trey Young being that dynamic duel, I think it could work. But now I don't know how the Atlanta would get him. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, he and Dame just seem to play like in spite of each other rather than with each other. It's like they take turns, just like pickup ball. Like, all right, I win a couple possessions. All right, you get yours, and then I'll get mine, and then you get yours. It doesn't seem like they've ever really meshed. You don't really see a lot of chemistry between the two of them.
Even with Brook Lopez, like he be jacking up long threes and everything. You know, Brook is a good shooter, but it's like, come on, bro. You might need to like change your game up a little bit. You averaging 5 rebounds. That ain't helping the team. You need you to be down low, use your size, and he's a great shot blocker. But he never averaged about more than like 7, 8 rebounds. So
well, you already know how I feel about my big men not averaging at least 10.
I'm the same
Jaren
way.
Jackson Jr. I'm looking at you, my boy. You know
I do have a hot take about that one too.
Go ahead, get him off.
Right.
Get him off.
Yeah, get your shit off.
I think Jaren Jackson is the most overrated player in the league.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
In the whole league?
In all the league.
Okay, Athletic. Coming up with your own list.
So it's like you 6'10", 6'11", whatever the case may be. You're a former defensive player of the year. You average 5 rebounds. Desmond Bane was their leading rebounder this year on the team and in the playoffs. Was like 6.5, 6.8, whatever the case may be. I mean, no, Zach E was averaging 8, and then Desmond Bane was second. But it's like, you the defensive anchor on that team. Grab some boards. Like what are you doing? Like you floating on the perimeter too much, shooting threes with that weird form. It's like, come on. Like if they want to do that, move Jaren Jackson to the 3, get another big down there who also can shoot, but also can get down and do dirty work, crash the boards, and then you got something. But I think he's the most overrated player in the league.
Everything you said, I don't know about the most overrated aspect, but everything else you said regarding that, though, I think that was music. That was literally from God's ears. Like, I don't think God is looking down at you unashamed. He's like, my son, who I am very well pleased in for explaining that, because it don't make sense to me either. Jaren Jackson Jr., 5 rebounds, my boy. That's abysmal. And that lets me know also that God has a sense of humor and that he purposely put some people not to be that height because they wouldn't be humble. So he gave him height and he gave others 5'10", 5'9". God has a sense of humor because he's not using what God gave him at all. But that's a whole nother episode because Jaren Jackson Jr., it blows my mind all the time. Looking at the Nuggets-Clippers series, the Nuggets and Clippers play tonight. It is tied 2-2. Jokic has been going absolutely bananas. Kawhi Leonard, some would say, is the best player in the series, which we wouldn't thought we would say a couple years back, but he's healthy now. Hart has been playing his ball. Between these two teams, right? Looking at the series, being that it's tied 2-2 now, which of these two are in best position to actually give a fight for the Thunder, who just came off of sweeping the Grizzlies?
I think either one, really. I think they're both. They both can challenge the Thunder. Ultimately, I mean, the Thunder's my pick to win it all. So I think no matter who's in front of them, that they'll get it done. But I think both teams have some size. Not that the Thunder doesn't, but I mean they can match the Thunder size. If they go Hart and Chet, they have, both teams have some size that they can throw at either one or both of those guys. But I mean, arguably, if Denver is there, they would have the best player in the series. So, and Denver is a championship team, is a championship caliber team, and they've got a lot of those core pieces that are still there. So they've been in these moments, even though they got sent home last year. And Kawhi's gotten it done before, and he's looked, hell, played 37, 38 games, in the regular season. You come out looking fresh. It's like when, you playing pickup at LA Fitness on Saturday morning, you start at 9, it's 10:30 and you got a couple of cats walk in. Everybody's tired. They got a couple of games on their knees, and you got a couple of cats walk in and start dominating. That's Kawhi Leonard right now, because he's had most of this season off to, recuperate and get his body right. And he's shown us that he's still very much Kawhi, and he doesn't have the tread of a full 82 game season on his body. So, he's kind of able to remind people what he can still do. And James Harden, for the most part, has sort of, shed that whole Harden disappears when it's playoff time knock that he's had throughout his career. So I honestly don't know which way this is going to go. I mean, this is the epitome of a 4 or 5 series, because it could literally swing either way. But I think either team in different ways can sort of challenge OKC. So I'm going to hedge again and say that either one that wins, I think, it'll still give OKC a tough series, but ultimately I think OKC wins. But I'm just excited to watch, and I hope Denver and LA goes 7 games as a basketball fan.
Jarrett, Warriors are up 3-1. Rush mentioned it earlier. That's what he's loved so far in these playoffs. What's your big takeaways from that Rockets-Warriors series? Are you looking at the Rockets? Hey, this young team is what we expected. Warriors, they look like championship contenders. What is your biggest takeaway from that series? So,
I don't know if anybody remember, but my pick for the series, the way it was the Rockets. So my pick is looking bad right now. So, but I think my biggest takeaway from that series is Jalen Green. It's like you scored single digits in all the games but one. You had the crazy 36-point game, but every other game you had 7, 9, 8, whatever. It's like, come on, like, you better than this. You're technically the Rockets' best scorer. Like, you the leading scorer on the team. You average 21 in the season. You should be able to at least be averaging 20 in the playoffs. But I mean, who's been guarding him? Honestly, who's been guarding him? Do you guys remember?
It's Steph, right? Gary Payton, GP2's been guarding him here and there. When Kuminga gets play time, he's been guarding him here and there. Who else has been on?
I think it's been Steph.
They've tried to hunt. They tried to hunt Steph in the first couple of games, but the Warriors let Steph play him straight up.
Hey, so to go off that point, I seen the stat about Steph. Basically, he's holding like people who's trying to go up against him. He's holding them to a really good low shooting percentage.
I'll give you the stat right now. Steph Curry is holding Rockets players to 36.4 field goal percentage and 29.4 3-point percentage this series.
Yeah, I mean this. Never mind. I'm not gonna say it. Go ahead.
No, say it. Go ahead.
No, I don't need Warriors fans coming. I mean, it's good.
I think Evan said good. What I think you were going to say.
I mean, they're not great. The people that he's guarding aren't traditionally, like, statistically, they're not great shooters anyway. So it's not like he's clamping Shea or somebody who shoots a high percent. Like if you look at Van Fleet or Jalen Green, I mean, they shoot low. They shoot sub-optimal percentages from the field anyway. And there's no reason to expect that would magically go up in the playoffs. But I'm Steph he's improved, right? Like, I mean, we saw in all of his finals appearances, he's normally the guy who teams would try to pick on. And the Warriors sort of had to try to scheme around that. And now he's sort of taking the challenge. And at least in this first round, the Rockets guards don't really strike fear in him. And they don't really need to send help. They're letting him play him straight up. And, it's working out in their favor. So I think not to take anything away, but I don't want to get carried away. He's still not like like a different team and a different player, like they're going to try to have to scheme like to get stuff off that player, away from that player, or get him some help.
Shout out to internally Evan right there. He said the same thing what you said. Yes, this is a byproduct of noted defensive stopper Steph Curry and not the byproduct of Houston being booty. So, to your point, he agrees.
So, hold on, I got a question for y'all. So I seen someone on I don't know if it was Twitter or Threads, but I seen someone say right now, like after this series is done, maybe the Rockets should sell high on Sengun and try to get like someone like Giannis or somebody. What you guys think about that?
I don't know about Trey Sengun, but I like what you were saying earlier. Jalen Green, I don't know if you trade him. But
I think
that's
it
not the
should
guy.
Jalen Green if anybody.
So I've got like three thoughts, and I know I kind of ramble a little bit, but one, there's something wrong in the world if Evan and I are agreeing on something. So I don't know what's happening, but the fact that Evan and I have the same thought is kind of scary. But that's my guy, though. Shout out, he knows this. I love Evan, but yeah, I don't know about trading. I mean, look, if you have a chance to get Giannis and you're able to keep this core together, I mean, yeah, you do the deal. So for Sengun, then yeah, I mean, I think you move him because the goal is to win a championship. So if you're 2 seed now, but you lack experience, you lack somebody who can command a double team in late game situations or can put pressure on a defense in late game situations, you go get that guy while that guy is still available. And I think Giannis still has a handful of years as just an absolute top 5 player in the league. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know that Giannis is going to be available. But yeah, if it's there, I would probably do it. Yeah, I would probably trade Sengun for Giannis. But I don't, maybe it's because I got a bleeding heart, but I don't know that I want to give up on Jalen Green just yet. Like, it's his first taste of the playoffs. And granted, his performance has been a continuation of sort of what we've seen from him throughout his first few years in the league and consistency. I don't know that at 20, what is he, 22, 23? I don't know that you give up on him just yet. And it's not so much about the inconsistency scoring, right? It's about what else do you do to contribute to the game when your shot's not falling. And he's more than capable of doing other things on the court. It's just that when the shot's not falling, it gets him down. So he's like a net negative everywhere else. I think another year with Ime, a summer of whatever, I think he can come back and be a more well-rounded player. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a top 2-way player in the league. He absolutely could. He's got the potential. It's oozing. I see it. But I think it's a mindset, right? And I think if he can get it to where, damn, I'm shooting 3 for 12. Let me try to lock so-and-so up, or let me try to, defend or whatever. I think that's the difference. I think that's why Ime's sitting him, not because his offense is struggling, but because when his offense struggles, his defense completely falls off. And I think Ime said as much. So I'd like to see them running back with this squad. But if a deal for Giannis or somebody who's just bona fide is there, I mean, yeah, I think you got to make it, because windows to compete are very short in this league.
I think it's also, for me, I think it's the shot diet. As athletic as he is, bruh, you should be getting to the paint way more. You should have way more of a different shot variety as well. Because a lot of times what we see, if he does get to the paint, it's just jump straight up as high as possible, and I'm going to try to lean into the person.
Bro, he averages like 2.5 free throw attempts a game. Like, it's got to be at least 6 for me. At least minimum.
With how athletic that young man is, easily you could be getting up and under. You could be getting to the paint, two leg floated, whatever the case may be. Yep. Shot diet, also get some shot variety in your game, because the threes, it'll fall. get to the midi, get to be able to change it up inside the paint, because that is what the top scorers. All right, my three's not falling, my jumper's not falling. What do? I gotta get to the free throw line. I just need to see it get in. All the top tier scorers, and that's what the Rockets need and was hoping that he would be. Again, Rush said, hey, give him another summer. He could come back, be better. Me personally, we give you a summer, you come back, let's start you off as a 6-man. And if you learned your lesson as a 6-man, then we could push you back into the starting lineup. But like you said, windows is short, and I don't think Ime has much of the patience, especially for, I got to keep telling you that you got to play D. The shot's not falling. Cool.
Yeah.
I've told you this whole season, our identity is defensive. The Rockets' identity has been defense this whole year, and it still hasn't registered that I need you to impact the game in other ways.
I think they are going to have to figure out like that backcourt, right? Because you got Fred.
Don't get me started on Fred.
You got Antman who's blossoming. You've got Jalen, and then you got Reed, who Rockets fans, weirdly enough, I learned on Threads, feel like is like the savior. Like if you put Reed Shepherd in, like we win all these. I'm like, is it the mustache? Like what is it about about Reed that y'all got all this confidence in? I don't know. Hey,
that summer league got them confused.
I'm a Lakers fan. I get irrational confidence, so I'm not gonna hate on nobody. But yeah, I mean, I do think they've got a bit of a logjam. So, I think they've got a team option on Fred this summer that they're probably not going to exercise. But whether they bring him back on like a longer term deal or what, that's going to be very interesting because there's not a whole lot of. There's just only so many minutes to go around. So that will be interesting. But yeah, Tone, I definitely agree with everything you said. I don't know about 6-man, but I do think that Shaddai could definitely be better. And I think he can definitely be better. So I think this summer they'd probably give him like this summer and into next year. And then I think maybe they'd look, because I don't think he's extension. I mean, he's probably extension eligible this summer, but I think they probably could get him on his qualifying.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe like one more year before he's in restricted free agency. So,
hey, maybe y'all listen to Rush and y'all go that route. But I know one thing that you need to listen to Tone for. Don't bring that man Fred back. Don't bring that man Fred back. He is riding that one championship for the rest of his career. Fred as your point guard shooting 35% from the field, 36% from three. And that's the regular season. I don't know what the garbage numbers are in this postseason. But please, for your franchise, do not bring Fred VanVleet back. And if y'all do, if y'all start Jalen Green and y'all take Rush's advice, cool. But Fred is not the person that needs to start next year. Ain't that much veteran leadership in the world. Put the point guard version of UD, put UD on the bench. Let him be a veteran in the locker room. Make sure Jalen Green isn't going to the strip club too much and Tari Eason. But him playing big minutes, 30, 35 minutes, that time is long gone.
I mean, it's a $40 million. I think his option is like almost $40 million, if not 40 or more. So, yeah, I mean, I doubt that they bring him back on that, but
he might be the highest paid player in the team, I think.
Yeah. So
nasty.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nasty word.
I'm not as low on Fred as Tone, but
I
do think that he's definitely not the long-term solution at that point guard for Houston.
Hey, maybe he'll change my mind if he come back and look like an actual NBA player next year. There's only a few players that can be able to look like that and be productive. We got Jokic, George Niang. I don't need George Niang at point guard at 5'10". That's essentially what I got in Fred. But closing off, the last series that we got to talk about. I'm not a fan of Fred, man. Sorry, Adam Silver. I know this wasn't part of what you wanted us to talk about at the beginning of the episode, like you said. But I just had to get that one off. Like you said, is what we see. We got to comment on what we see. My eyes work. I don't have glasses. Last series we got to touch on the Lakers series. Oh man, this has been a tough time. Because I predicted. I was with Shannon Sharp with the prediction, not with what he's doing now, but with the prediction. I was with Shannon Sharp. Lakers in 5. All right, they lost the first one. Lakers in 6. I don't know what's gonna happen now. They down 3-1. Easily, the Timberwolves could have obviously swept them. It's a twofold when we look at this series. We'll touch on the Timberwolves after this, but because we love our listeners, we're going to start off with this first question from Tall Skinny Ben. This question is for all of us. Is JJ Redick safe if the Lakers lose in the first round after being the 3rd seed and making that big trade for Luka?
Yes. Because I think you got to look. You can't look at it in a vacuum, right? You sort of got to look at it in full context. One, you don't hire a rookie coach who has absolutely zero coaching experience and give him that short of a leash, right? You expect growing pains and you expect there to be a bit of a progression, but I don't know that you expect perfection and championships off the bat. It'd be great, right? I wouldn't be mad, but this is not really realistic. Even with the Luka trade, just because of, Luka had been out, and I don't know that even though Luka's been balling, like the numbers are still like his numbers with LA are literally identical to what he was doing with Dallas, to the point in which he got hurt on Christmas. I just don't know that it's been a good year for Luka, like physically, mentally. It's just been a lot. Like he had 2 calf injuries. Apparently there were things going on behind the scenes in Dallas. He gets traded. I guess he had just bought a house, was planning to buy a house. I don't know if these reports are true or not, but he was clearly expecting to be in Dallas full time. You get traded out of nowhere. You got to adapt. Like, it's just a lot, man. And I think we forget that, yes, these are professional athletes, but they're people first. Like, that would be a lot for me. I would imagine, not to speak for y'all, but I would imagine it'd probably be a lot for y'all too. And I think this is where I'm going to have to eat crow a little bit. I don't think that the Lakers roster is optimally constructed. I think I got a little too high on the hog when I was like, do the Lakers actually need a big? Yes. Yes, David, they absolutely need a big. I have been humbled in so many ways watching this series. But so I think when you look at all that and the fact that just the West was crazy this year. Like, the only difference between the Timberwolves and the Lakers, I think, was like a game or a game and a half. So it's not like it's, OKC playing or it's not like it's Cleveland playing Miami, right? Or something like that. Like, arguably these teams are even. And the difference in these types of series are the margins. So I think when you look at that, this season has been probably overall a success for JJ and the Lakers. If it ends in the first round, it's obviously going to fall way short than, what their aspirations are. But I think his job security is not at any sort of risk if they lose tomorrow night.
Hey, Jarrett, you start off with this, and then Rush, you could touch on after in the ball being air court. Anthony Edwards, so far in his playoffs career, he's beaten his hero, his GOAT, KD, Nikola Jokic, and now possibly is about to be a team with LeBron and Luka, and has shown up in the fourth quarters, has been clutch. This playoff series and playoffs in general, what's your takeaways from Ant Edwards and how he's been playing and how he's been balling?
Michael Jordan. Nah, let me stop. But like, I'm really, it's just a joy watching Anthony Edwards play. And even though I'm sorry he's beating up on y'all Lakers and everything, but it's just like a real joy to watch him like really flourish in this league. And I mean, despite all the off the court situations with him, I do think he is the face of the league, like going forward in the future. Um, I'm just loving how he's playing, man. Because like honestly, he shows up every game. He wants to guard the opposing team's best player. He's going to give you 30 to 40 points. He's going to get the assists. He's going to get the rebounds. He's going to play defense. He's going to talk some smack to you. He's going to talk some smack to the crowd, to everybody out there. So it's a joy watching him. Like we're in a good era for to see Minnesota being good again. I want to say that. Like all the years of them with Cat and Wiggins and Zach LaVine and D'Lo going there. It's really nice to see Minnesota playing again, and hopefully, they now with new management, they retire Kevin Garnett's jersey.
Hey, so
Why
Rush.
made that face, Tone? I'm rushing. Made that face.
So Rush, real quick, right? With Anthony Edwards and how he's been playing and everything I just mentioned, he's already said, I don't want to be the face of the league. I don't want none of that. I don't want to be the face of the league. I don't want to have anything to do with that conversation. But in regards of the next best young player, the next best player that we still have the OGs around. And it's been said, hey, between KD, Steph, and Bron, they're not just handing over the torch. Are we seeing currently, right now, are we witnessing Anthony Edwards taking that torch and saying, you know what? I'm not waiting for them to be done. I'm taking it. I'm the new honcho. I'm the new top dog in the league. Outside of Jokic.
So I'm torn because I do my very best to be like really objective. Anthony Edwards is really not my style of like basketball player, but I can at the same time acknowledge that he's lights out. So it's like really hard for me to give him his props. But I mean he took out KD, he took out Jokic last year. And it all indicators point that it's likely that he will take out LeBron and Luka this year. I guess maybe it's a changing of the guard. I mean, it's going to happen eventually, right? Whether it's Ant or Shea or whoever. At some point, Bron, KD, and Steph are going to be too old to compete, or they're just going to retire. Is it happening now? Maybe. I think it's possible. But I also, NBA narratives are so fickle that they could sit LA down and then Golden State could sit them down. And then next thing we know, it's, Anthony Edwards' attitude isn't that isn't worthy of being the face. Like I could see these headlines like as if they're already out. Like I could see people drafting them because they're just waiting for a reason to put them out because they'll drive clicks or whatever. So, I mean, and I take nothing away from what Minnesota has done in this series. Their bench has been phenomenal. Ant has been phenomenal. Jaden McDaniels has been way better than I think anyone, especially LA's coaching staff, expected.
Jaden didn't expect that either.
I mean, the way he's playing when Luka's guarding him, you would think dude is like all world. But yeah, I think it's definitely possible that we could be witnessing Anthony Edwards sort of cementing himself as a top 3 guy in the league. But at the same time, I know this wasn't really part of your question, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm not fully out on my Lakers. All right. You win game 5. Not that that's a given, but you win game 5. The Lakers have played very well at home. You go back to Minnesota for game 6, and you've been right there at the end in both prior games in Minnesota. You've been there. You're just losing games on the margins. A play here, a play there. And then you're back in LA for game 7. So it's just one game at a time. But I think LA wins game 5. And after that, I think that gives them a bit of confidence. They go into Minnesota, and then if they can somehow manage to get game 6, then, it's game 7. and then anything can happen. So all the momentum has definitely swung Minnesota's way, but this series hasn't been like a blowout 3-1. I think they could very well be a different number, but it's not. But I do think LA has the ability to get back into the series. But I think, we could be witnessing the rise of Ant, so to speak.
Hey, the thing that to keep in mind for Lakers fans that are watching this, correct me if I'm wrong, but Minnesota was up 3-1 last year and allowed, I believe it wasn't it Denver or Dallas?
One of them.
One of them came back.
It might have been Denver.
Denver came back and almost ended up winning that series. And they had the big old Game 7 game, and it was like, oh my gosh, they pulled it out. They were up 3-1. So
yeah,
this will be big. This will be big for Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves to see how much growth that they actually, had over last season to now, last playoffs to now playoffs.
Yeah, I know we're at the end of the docket. Do we want to talk about JJ's decision not to play anybody? To only play those same 5 guys for the whole second half?
Please touch on that. What was your thoughts on JJ just not playing nobody second half?
Yeah, it's it's the first time it's happened, so obviously it's a little unorthodox, and little is underselling it a bit, but I really don't have. Call me a Lakers fan, call me biased, whatever. I really don't have that much of an issue with it, to be honest. They were up 10 in the fourth. We're up 2, I think, with up 4, 2 or 4 with like under 3 minutes to play. They were there. They were right there. And I think when you look at the fact that Naz Reid is outscoring the entire Lakers bench throughout the series, like per game, I don't know. You got Nate McMillan there. You've got Scott Brooks there. Obviously, JJ is very smart, and you don't know how much of that sort of hurts him in certain moments where he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, whether he listens to. But if it's, hey, these guys are really rolling, this is absolutely like a must-win game for them, and it was, and they treated it as such. And you feel like those 5 give you the best chance to win. I say you roll with it. And then they were right there. And I think, they were a couple plays away from it being called brilliant. If they win, I think people have a totally different reaction. But I do think, and I'll kick it to y'all because I'm dominating. But I do think, though, Luka and Bron will show up in game 5. But how are the guys who didn't get to play, how are they going to respond when they check into, like, are they still going to be all in, or are they going to be in their feelings about it? I think that's going to be an interesting piece to game 5.
My only take on it was we're up 10 going to the fourth. You could have sat him down in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, just to get a breath, a quick one, because what we saw, LeBron and Luka wasn't able to really deliver in those last 2-3 minutes. Neither was Anthony Edwards, who also played the full quarter. So it had nothing to do, like JJ, to Rush's point, said fatigue had nothing to do with it. I disagree with you 1,000%, JJ, on that regard. LeBron and Luka, who we know is not top tier shape or anything, anything like that. 2-3 minutes would have been nice for them. Ending off, we have one more question on there. I want to ask this to Jarrett. I don't even know how to say this name. I'm gonna say Atlian Trader,
ATLian.
There we go. ATLian Trader said we should talk about, and you mentioned it before we started recording, the Risha Say Rookie of the Year robbery. You said Sar got robbed as well. Speak on that. On Risha Say, Sar not even being a finalist, being that Stephon Castle actually won Rookie of the Year.
I think the reason why Risha Shade was a finalist was because of that 30-something point game he had, and he only took like 2 dribbles. I'm not gonna lie, that was really impressive. So I feel like that was the kind of thing that took him over to the top as a finalist. Um, I mean, Stephon Castle, he rightfully so should have been Rookie of the Year, and he did win it today. Um, but I feel like Ricochet, I mean, he came on late, and also we talked about, I think winning does play a factor in the Rookie of the Year race now. Like, back in the day, it didn't matter because usually, the best rookies are going to the worst teams in the league due to, being drafted high and everything. But now, we got these situations where some of these teams are making like big leaps in just one offseason and they are potentially becoming a playoff team or playing down like the Spurs were before all the injuries. And, I mean, Castle had a really good year for being a first year player. He played with a lot of poise, he played with a lot of confidence, he had a lot of nice posters. But I still feel like Sarge should have been at least a finalist. Like, I didn't expect him to necessarily win it. Oh, I mean, I wanted him to, but the year that Castle had, I had a feeling he was going to get it, but I feel like Sarge should have at least got some type of consideration. I think I just seen earlier today that he finished fourth in the race.
Yeah, that was interesting that he finished fourth to me because Jalen Wells started off the year hot. And then because of that veteran-led Memphis Grizzlies, he ended up not playing as much in the second half. So for him to still end up top three was interesting to see that as well. And ending off this episode, we are going to touch on a little quick game. Who averaged more points in their career? Sharif Abdul-Rahim or Kevin Garnett?
I'm gonna say Sharif Abdul-Rahim for some odd reason.
I'm gonna go with Sharif only because I feel like his career ended early and he didn't play late, so his per game average was higher.
Correct. 18.11. KG was at 17.8. Allen Houston or Chris Paul?
Per game averages? Oh, definitely Allen Houston.
Allen Houston, 17.3. Chris Paul at 16.9. And the last
one. I know my Knicks, man.
And the last one will actually transition us to end the show to the awkward Vince Carter meeting with Rush, the mayor. D'Angelo Russell, or Vince Carter, who averaged more points for their career?
I mean, D'Lo's still playing. Oh, I guess Chris Paul is too, but
D'Lo. I think it's definitely D'Lo.
I think it's D'Angelo.
Yeah, D'Lo
is
right now 17.2. Vince Carter 16.7. But as what we alluded earlier, Vince did play for about 46 years, so all of the highs got balanced out on the back end when he was playing 8 games a year and then 20 minutes at the end of the year. So we know Vince was a dog and was a killer, but it ended off with 16 points. Ball is in your court. Tell us, all of Threads wanted to know the story of Rush meeting his favorite player, Vince Carter, half man, half amazing, Vinsanity.
So first, shout out to Corner 3 Pod for getting 100 subscribers. I don't know what are we up to now on followers, excuse me, on Threads. What are we up to now?
We are up to, thanks to the mayor handling his business, we are up to 129, 130. Oh, we got a new follower. 130.
I definitely should have said 150 instead of 100 because we were at like what 97. Three followers is easy work. I should have said 150. So yeah, shout out to everybody who's followed us on Threads, Instagram, and YouTube, and on whoever listens to us on all the podcasts. We appreciate y'all. I don't know where we're at on all those different platforms, but thanks to anybody who's been rocking with us. But yeah, I'll make it quick because I know we're already pushing an hour and 15 minutes. But yeah, I met Vince Carter, and it's crazy to me because Vince is my all-time favorite basketball player, right? Like there's Jordan, there's LeBron, there's Kobe, there's like Shaq, like all of these guys, and they're all phenomenal in their own right. But Vince Carter, I don't know what it was about him. He just stood out to me, and I just love watching him play. And he's the reason why I really like I was exposed to basketball because my dad was always watching like the Lakers or whatever. But I fell in love with basketball because of Vince Carter, just the way he came out, the way he dunked the ball, the bald head, the shocks, the dunks, like everything, athletic, like just everything. But what I really appreciated about him most was just that he was always just like really like easy going, like on the court. Like you'd always see him playing around with other guys, like having fun, loose, but then he dropped like 50 on you. Like it was crazy. And he was a complete ball player, even though a lot of people just trying to, pigeonhole him into being a dunker and an athlete. So when I was a kid, I actually had asked my mom, I was like, Mom, I don't know how you're going to pull it off, but for either my high school or my college graduation, I want you to arrange for me to meet Vince Carter. She was like, all right, baby, I'm going to try. She didn't do it, but she did her best. She did her best. I believe that with all my heart. She did her best, but it didn't happen. So, I'm obviously into adulthood now, and this whole Threads thing happens. And it just turns out that I get to go down to Atlanta in February. This is before the All-Star break, I believe. And I'm down there with Lex. Shout out to Lex. And we're sort of going around like the Turner Studios or whatever. And I was like, oh, it's Tuesday night. Vince is probably going to be here because he works a Tuesday night inside the NBA shift. So I'm asking the people, I'm like, hey, are we going to get to meet the talent? And then nobody said no, but nobody said yes either. So they're showing us sort of like the behind the scenes, how the show comes together. And it's really dope how they do it. And also how they sort of scrape the internet for tweets to run during their segments. The whole thing comes together is just beautiful. But towards the end of the night, they're like, hey, do you guys want to go down and watch halftime? Like the halftime show from the studio. So we go and we sit. So we're basically sitting behind the camera. So you see the talent. So we're behind the frame. And I imagine they have people coming in and out all sorts of times. So I don't know that the talent like Shaq, Candace, and Vince and Adam knew who we were. We're just nobody cares about Threads yet. So nobody really knew who we were. But we were there. So they do have time. And it's over. So at that point, they're sort of like, all right, y'all need to leave now. So they're like, they're walking this. They're like, all right, follow us. We'll go out this way. And Lex goes ahead of me. I'm sort of just kind of taking it all in, looking at the studio. But Vince starts walking toward me. And he's not walking to me, but wherever he's going next just happens to be just behind me. So I'm walking. I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I'm about to walk past Vince Carter. Like I need to say something, but I was kind of like, hey, he's working. He doesn't really know who we are. We're not really here to see them. So I don't want to be one of those fans like, hey, Vince, let me get a selfie or whatever. So I just kind of walked by him and I just kind of nodded. I kind of acknowledged. I was like, hey, how you doing? And he was like, good. And I was like, oh, he acknowledged me. So I said, hey, and I turned around because at this point he's behind me. I turned around and he stopped and I didn't expect him to stop. I'll be honest with you. So when he stopped and looked at me, I'm like, I don't know what to say. I said, I just mumbled. I was like, and he was like, what? And I was like, huh? and he was like, what? And I was like, and I was just struggling. I could not get the words in my head. I could not get them to my mouth. I was just wanted to say, hey, you're my favorite player. I love watching you play. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame and like getting your jerseys retired. Literally all I wanted is like 30 words. I could not get them out of my mouth. So I'm literally here just like fumbling, trying to speak. And he sees me struggling. So he just sticks his hand out and we shake hands. And then I wanted to ask for a photo. And I was like, and so I said, hey, again. And he was like, what? And I was like, oh, you're working. And I don't know why this was the first thing that came out of my mouth. I was like, oh, you're working, right? Like, no shit. Like, we're in the studios. Of course he's working. And he was like, he looked at me like, yeah, I'm working. And I was just like, all right, never mind. And he was like, all right, cool. So I walk out embarrassed. I'm 37 years old. I can't speak to another man without fumbling over my words. It was embarrassing. But it was just a crazy night. Like I'm in Atlanta. It was the night it stormed down there. So like the whole city was shutting down. We almost got stuck at the studio. like one in a million opportunities I get to meet Vince Carter, and I just botch it. I just butcher it. And so I'm walking out, and I'm walking past the desk, and Shaq and Candace are still sitting there, but they're talking to like their people or whatever. And I'm walking out, and then Shaq is like, "Yo, Jimmy Butler looking mother." And I'm like, "What are you talking?" And I turn around because there's nobody else there, and I'm like, "You talking to me?" And he was like, "I didn't say nothing." And I was like, "All right, whatever." So then I walk out, and then that's it. So I got to meet my favorite basketball player of all time, and I couldn't even get words out of my mouth. And I'm pretty sure he was looking at me like, "What is wrong? What is wrong with this dude? Why can't he speak? Like, why is this slow person in the studio shaking hands with me?" But I shook his hand. So at least, you know, there's no picture. For all y'all know, I could be making this up, but Lex was there. She can vouch for me. But yeah, that was my awkward meeting with Vince Carter. So hopefully I get another chance and I can actually speak to him. Mm-hmm. But if not, you know.
We gotta tag Vince Carter in this.
Word, we gotta tag Vince, and he'll probably rectify that.
He might remember it because it was a crazy night, because it did storm down there, and it was, you know, when it snowstorms in Atlanta, it's memorable.
Oh yeah, he probably, and I know he be still making his way through the Carolinas at times. So hey, he might just pull up at the crib and be like, "Hey, let's have a real conversation here."
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but hopefully I'll get another chance and I can we can have a proper conversation.
Well, how Threads is going, I'm sure it'll be another chance. Threads is growing. NBA on Threads is growing big time. So I'm pretty sure another chance will come about. Makes you feel any better? There's no evidence of this. I scrubbed it off of the internet, but I met Taj Gibson at Juniors. At Juniors after Knicks game. This is when he was with the Knicks. He balled out. Took a picture with him. Had to be about like 15, 16 years old. Just happy. I just met Taj Gibson. I didn't even go to the Knicks game. I'm just chilling with Pops. We in the city. Took a picture with him. Mind you, it's scrubbed off the internet. So I got older. I looked at it. He's 6'9". I'm only 5'10". My hand was around this man's waist, smiling like this. I look like the straight groupie. I said, "Bro, what? Why do my pops take this?" I posted it and everything.
Oh
like
man,
a straight groupie, hand around this man's waist at 5'10". Happy as heck. I met Taj Gibson at Juniors, and I will not be tagging him in this because that's not something that he needs to remember. I fixed it though because I met Evan Turner in Boston, and it was completely different.
Okay, there you go.
Much better.
There you go. There's 2 NBA players you met and taking pictures with. So there you go.
Facts. But that wraps this episode. As you see, it's a little bit longer episode, but it's a lot of great content in this. I'm sure y'all will appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, tell any and everybody about the podcast. If you love basketball, this is the podcast for you. The Corner 3. We out.